Boom. And away we go. Here we are, man. Wednesday, April 30th. We are on the final day of the month. The NFL draft is behind us. May 1st. May the force be with you, right? We're close. May 4th, right around the corner for all you Star Wars geeks. We got a lot we got to get into here on this Wednesday, April 30th edition of MHI. I'm Patterson, one half of MHI, and join with me as always, the better half, my better half at least, Thomas Hall. Tom, how we doing as you and I are about to break the internet, start screaming at each other, yelling at each other? We're going to react in real time to the Broncos 2025 draft class. I know we've texted back and forth just a little, not a lot. We save it for the show. But how are we feeling as we sit here Wednesday, April 30th, just one day left in this month of April?
Yeah, I'm excited to finally talk about the draft. You know, like I know it's a little bit old now. It's been a few days. It's over on Saturday, but I am ready to talk draft, talk about the things I like, the things I didn't like, and just talk about the draft overall. It was a weird draft for me. I don't know. It just seemed like an odd draft compared to many others. So I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, me too, man. And, I guess it's going to start with a big heaping plate of praise from our guy, David, over on YouTube saying, "Good evening, Broncos country. Let's go, Bo." Fired up about the 2025 aspirations of your Denver Broncos. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's just kick it off. The NFL draft is something that we have been debating for months. We have screamed at each other. You're telling me, look, Luke, they got to go get a wide receiver, first-round wide receiver. Here's a rookie quarterback. He's just dying to get one. And I've been screaming at you, Tom. What's the best friend of a rookie quarterback and heading into his second year? A healthy running game. Surely, Thomas Hall. I mean, I know you and I don't bet on the NFL draft, but no. I was so willing to bet that Sean Payton was going offense one way or the other, right? Yep. Running back, wide receiver, tight end. Hell, it could have been an offensive lineman for crying out loud. I did not see the Broncos sticking around round one, pick number 20. I definitely didn't see him going cornerback Jahdae Barron out of Texas. Tom, take me through your immediate reaction. Where were you? How were you feeling? Give it to me, man, because I got a lot to say.
Well, it was a surprise. I did not expect that to happen. I thought they'd be getting offense as well, because as we know, their defense was really good and their offense needed some weapons. So it was a surprise. Even though I wanted them to take a wide receiver and I wanted them to help the offense, I wanted them to at least take a running back. I could understand that pick because he fell in my mind. That was a top 15, maybe top 10 type guy that kind of fell to 20. So I could see why they took him there, because that was probably their best player left on their board. And they're like, we're taking him. So I can see it, but it was a surprise. And I was a little bit at first going, what, a corner? But then as I started to kind of think about it, I was like, yeah, okay, it kind of makes sense.
I tried to talk myself into it. I'm trying to talk myself into it now, because here's the thing, right? We're all entitled to our opinion and our reaction. That's the best part of being a fan and doing what we do and covering this team. I mean, fanatical, right? Like you're fanatic about this kind of stuff. So with that comes some raw emotion and some raw response. Where it gets tricky is you cannot be a fan of the pick and still be a fan of the player and wanting this guy to succeed. And it's so tough to be critical of any draft prospect because they haven't stepped foot on the NFL field yet, right? Their story has yet to be written, but you can only go off of their NFL draft prospect status, their collegiate history. I'll be completely honest. I'm disappointed with the pick in Jahdae Barron, and it's not because of Jahdae Barron. From what I gather, Jahdae Barron is obviously, like you said, a top 10, top 15 talent that slid to 20. But why did that happen? Was it the Giants screwing everything up? Was it Travis? And how about that? My man Travis does not need to waste away in Cleveland like another CU buff may be doing, and we'll get into that. But I was super happy to see Travis go to Jacksonville, man. He's from Florida. It'll be good for his family, and he doesn't need to waste away in Cleveland. But here's the thing, man, where I'm at with Jahdae Barron, and I texted it to you right away. What does this move signal in the short term, and what does it signal in the long term? Because Sean's maniacal. We all know Sean Payton, right? He's kind of a crazy guy. He's maniacal. I'm trying to read this as Sean reads this. Does Sean think the Denver Broncos are one cornerback away from another victory in the AFC wildcard spot? If Jahdae Barron from Texas, this corner, was in this situation last year and the Broncos had two elite corners, do they win that game in Buffalo? I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Also, let's look 3-4 years down the road. Let's assume best case scenario. This man comes in. He has an early Pro Bowl career, maybe even second team All Pro. Do you want to pay both your corners? Do you want to have all of your cash and your cap locked up into two defensive backs? Those are at least two of my concerns with where I'm at. We'll get into the rest of the draft. And of course, we're just talking about the very first pick, but call this an overreaction, Tom. Maybe it is. I thought Sean Payton was in charge of the draft, not George Payton. Why does it feel like the Broncos were bargain bin shoppers at the NFL draft?
Yeah, it felt like a George Payton type draft to me too. But the thing that really felt weird about it, so I said that the whole draft felt weird. The Broncos draft felt weird. One of the biggest thing that struck me after they got to the second round, all of those trades, they traded back, and then they ended up with the same number of draft picks that they had to begin with. So it was like all this trading back, and they didn't walk away with more quivers or arrows in their quiver. It was like we trade back, but we still have the same amount of picks. I know they traded up once, but that was strange to me. If you're going to trade back that much, you should have something to show for it in multiple draft picks that you have to select somebody in, the mid rounds, but they didn't have it. At the end, it was seven draft picks.
That's just it. And look, I was trying to really talk myself into, this young corner after night one, and I still am. I hope he comes out, and I hope he's the next Pat Surtain. How great would that be? But last I checked, you already have the reigning defensive player of the year. But hell, I mean, what do we know about George Payton? I say it on this show all the time. You could go back. You could at me, bro, on X, at Luke Patterson LP. And he said it a million times. Cornerback is a premium position in the NFL. He's been saying this since he's been here for the last 6 years. We know, George. We know that you love cornerbacks. We know Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes are in this division. But speaking of this division did not get any easier for Sean, George, Bo, and the boys down there in Denver. When you look at some of the moves that the Las Vegas Raiders make, obviously I'm thinking right away, Ashton Jeanty at pick number 6. This is something we all sort of thought was going to happen.
Yep.
Bothers me. I'm not looking forward to Vance Joseph's defense facing Ashton Jeanty, assuming he's healthy, assuming the Raiders can get out of their own way a little bit. But what really hurt? Guess what really hurt? Because it wasn't Jeanty. It was something else for me in the NFL draft. How about Omari and Hampton going to the LA Chargers, man? That one not only hurts and makes me want to puke. I thought that Sean's daughter came out and told us that this was going to happen. She lied to all of us. Sean definitely hoodwinked us. No, Omari and Hampton at pick number 22. He was on the board, Tom.
Yep.
And Sean said, thanks, no thanks. I don't need a running game.
I think it really had to do with that. Barron was their top guy left by far, and we're not passing up on it. We'll try and go get a running back later. I think that's what it boiled down to. I like the Barron pick as far as the player himself. I think he's going to really round out that secondary, even though it was fairly strong, but you had a little bit of struggle with depth. And I think McMillan, although he's played pretty well, isn't in the elite status. Maybe he'll grow and we'll be surprised, but I like the pick for the player, and I like how he fits into the Broncos defense. But, still, it was a surprise to me. I was hoping they got more weapons on offense. So it was it was an odd one, but I think he was just too good to pass up at that spot.
Now, the Broncos did nab a running back in round 2. They made us wait, George and Sean, and we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But guys, before we do, speaking of the hunt, the draft was just over. Massive hunt here in Broncos country. The great rewards hunt is on. So join the adventure with DraftKings Casino. For fun seekers, follow the trail to huge jackpots, 3 weekly bonuses, and exclusive games. But the excitement is only getting started because new players sign up with code MileHighPod and wager a minimum of $5 can receive 500 casino spins on a featured game. Only on the most rewarding place to play, DraftKings Casino. Again, that's code MileHighPod.
That's right. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. 21 plus. Physically present in Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia only. Void in Connecticut and Ontario. Eligibility restrictions apply. New customers only. No non-withdrawable casino spins valid for featured game only and expire in 168 hours. See terms at casino.draftkings.com/promotion. Ends 5/4/25 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern.
Boom. It is Wednesday night. I am Luke Patterson. Joined with me as always is Thomas Hall. We are reacting to the Denver Broncos 2025 NFL rookie class. We could talk about the undrafted free agents as well. We're here for all of it. We got to get into the Dre Greenlaw injury. Not happy about that. And some other Broncos news. Speaking of the Raiders, those damn Raiders, they picked off another one of our guys. We're going to get into that and more. But as we are reacting to the draft, let's just keep it going because I see Broncos country coming in here. Pro 16K already. Listen, man, Harvey is going to be great. I sure hope so. They say sometimes good things come to those who wait. Well, Broncos country had to wait a long time to get their new rookie running back. Traded down twice in the second round to get a prospect I didn't have on Sean's radar at all, to be honest with you. RJ Harvey out of UCF. I remember when our Buffs played these guys down in Florida last year. Saw a whole lot out of this cat, but it's so damn hard to know what to make of a UCF running back when you're playing a CU Buffs defense that can never stop the run. What's your take on the Broncos trading back twice to get this underdog, apparently high value fantasy player? Tom, I'm turning on social media. Everybody's saying fantasy football this year. Go get RJ Harvey. Is there something there?
Well, like I said earlier, it was weird that they traded back and didn't really come away with anything for it. But they took, Harvey to me has really good vision. And I like that because Javonte Williams seemed like he had none last year. So that will be a plus. He seems like a big play type of running back. I think he'll probably fit in okay. It felt like he got taken a bit early is all. But at this point, I don't really care how early or late they were picked. I just, the player themselves need to pan out. And if you want to go check out some analytics, I did some. It's on milehighhuddle.com about the draft. And the one thing that I didn't like is these late second round running backs have not really panned out. So I better hope that this pick kind of bucks that trend because typically they're not an impact player and typically, they're an okay starter at best. And that's about what you get out of these later round running backs, because I feel like that's where teams maybe reach a little bit to get that running back before they go into the third round. So that's the only concern I have, but I like the running back himself as far as his vision goes and his ability for those kind of big chunk plays that he'd had in college.
Yeah, the first thing, and the guy can run the ball. He's a physical runner. I do like that. He's got speed. He's got burst. He's got vision. I'm in a fortunate position in this life that I live across the street from a draft expert, right? So I go bang on the door. Cecil's actually home. I'm like, bro, talk to me here. I'm about ready to have a heart attack. He's like, here's one of the things. He tells me, Luke, I know you don't like his height. I know you're going to get after him because he's short, right? And he is. We already got Jaleel McLaughlin, right? Audric Estime. What's the future hold there? Tyler Bidet. I don't know. I mean, this running back room is in a state of flux. One thing that Cecil said that I've been kind of latching onto, and I'm hoping he's right about this, and we're going to see shades of it this summer. Really not a lot of it until preseason. He said that at 5'8", 205 pounds, this UCF back RJ Harvey can do a very good job camouflaging his runs behind his blockers. He's a patient runner, is what I'm being told. And when you've got tackles that are pretty tall, right? And Mike McGlinchey and Garrett Bowles, you can camouflage yourself at 5'8" a little bit behind those. You could slow down that burst until the absolute last second and you need to cut. That makes me feel really, really positive about it. Now, I hate to just come in and look at a guy and say 5'8", he's not going to be a good player. That's not it at all. You see a whole bunch of players, regardless of their hand size, their height, how many times they bench 225. I mean, these are all just like measuring sticks that we're looking at in this draft process. I hope RJ Harvey becomes the next 1,000-yard rusher that the Broncos have, something they haven't had since Philip Lindsay did it all those moons ago. I don't know, man. It's exciting to have a new running back in town. It's exciting to see some of the draft experts say, man, Denver got a lot of great value in their first and second rounds. Well, that's great. I want value throughout the entire draft. And I feel like there were just some missed opportunities. Every draft expert or so has their own grade. I know Zerline, I think, said it around 3 to 4 for this guy, something like that. Obviously not. Sean Payton could not wait to round 3 or 4, had to go get him. I saw Phil, our good friend over on Facebook. Thank you so much for all the stars and the support, Phil. We really appreciate you. Phil predicted a defensive guy at 20. And now he's looking forward to watching 2 Broncos corners in the Pro Bowl. I'm pretty sure Sean Payton was on break during both those Broncos trades. Yeah. Remember when Sean got in trouble for ripping the bong like a couple of years ago? I don't know what was going down there at whatever they call it now in Denver HQ. But it felt odd, man, because we know George loves the trade back. For Sean to just sit there at 20, you had to know George was pestering him, right? Like, Sean, we could trade back. Sean, we could trade back. And Sean finally said, no, enough is enough, George. We're going after this corner. Time will tell. I think that we need to have some faith. And to be honest with you, Tom, I think George and Sean have both earned that. All right. I could sit up here and be critical of their first 2 picks, but I'm hoping they work out and I'm hoping that they're right. It will do me no pleasure to say that I was right about this first round corner who was a bust. I was right about this running back who can't get out of the health room. No, I hope these guys come out and just ball out of control, but I think it's okay to have some concerns. It's also okay to show a little bit of faith in the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. They've had some great drafts and they've picked up some players that, most people were kind of didn't realize were going to be as good as they were. So you got to give them some grace in the drafting. But I will say the one player that I didn't really like about this draft, I'm going to say it. I don't want to be negative.
Can I guess?
Yeah, take a guess.
Oh, I got it. This is going to be your new rookie Florida Gator out of the 6th round, Jeremy Crawshaw. He's your new punter.
No, I actually was fine with that. I was really
fine with the punter.
I was fine with taking the punter. My problem was with the wide receiver in the 3rd round there.
You and everybody else, Pat. Y'all hate no.
Well, this is the reason. So I've got 2 reasons why I didn't care for the pick. Now he's got great hands. He seems like a pretty good player. There's 2 reasons I didn't like it. One, I felt like they have the same 2 players on their roster with Valet and Sutton, and they just got rid of Tim Patrick, who seems like a very similar player to this guy. He's not a dynamic kind of stretch the field type of player. But when I looked at what he did in college, even last year and even in his junior year to somewhat, when you look at teams that were good that they played against, he disappeared. And I don't like that. I mean, you look at any team that had 8 or more wins on the year, he struggled. His average was 4 catches for 42 yards and no touchdowns. But he made a lot of hay against weaker competition. And anybody that had 7 or less wins, he was 5 for 102 and averaged over a touchdown. Now that concerns me because I went and looked at other wide receivers. They were taken a little bit before them, but I looked at they had bad games, but it didn't coincide with the level of competition. It was they just had a bad game. It wasn't very good, or they got hurt, maybe something like that. This guy he played really well against lower level competition and kind of disappeared against better competition. In the NFL, everybody's better competition. So that's what concerns me about that pick.
Can I be an apologist for a second, just to
Sure.
flip that, right? Because I don't know, right? And you're right to have those concerns. And well, I'll ask our resident college football expert, Scott Kennedy, on the ones and twos. Scott, off the top of your head, fighting Illini quarterback, good quarterback there.
No.
Okay, so that's the first thing they're gonna say, right? It's like, it's a dependent position, Tom. Look who we had throwing the
Sure.
ball, right? And then you talk about systems too, and everybody's talking about systems, and we are going to get into this. Shadur Sanders, Cam Ward, all the viral videos, right? I love Cam Ward being like, man, that Pat Shurmur offense that you're in, I'd have been breaking those passing records too. Those things definitely come into account, but I'm with you, man. There are concerns about all of these prospects. You wonder which other wide receivers were left on the board for that pick, right? We will get into all of that and more, not only on this show, but for the foreseeable future here at Mile High Huddle, because this is what we do. Phil coming back in again. Appreciate you, Phil. Luke, I am sure you will like it much better when we shut down the Chargers and the Raiders' new running back. Man, I hope you're right, Phil. And just like I'm talking about giving faith, I got to give some faith to Vance Joseph, right? I hate to do it. Vance Joseph is that bad penny that I just cannot get rid of, but somehow it shines up prettier and nicer than each time I took out of my pocket. Look, Vance has done a good job with this Denver defense. We're going to figure out if he can make us hay. Now, these are rookie running backs. I'm curious to see what their usage will be like. Najee Harris is out there with the Chargers too, right? So I'm curious if Najee will get the start, and then you'll see Omari and Ashton Genty. He's obviously going to get the start for the silver and black, and we'll see how they adjust. This is your time for the Broncos defense to set the tone here in the AFC West and let these rookie running backs know it is not going to be business as usual like the easy days back in college. Cody Dubs coming in, $5 over on YouTube. I am rooting for Travis. How do you pronounce this last name, by the way? Was it Thies? Running back, undrafted free agent. Hometown is about 45 minutes from me out of Pratt, Kansas. Shout out, Cody. Let me know what you think of Travis. Tom, you talked about this last week. The Broncos have a rich history of bringing in these undrafted free agents. As you know, money talks and BS walks. Didn't they sign a coveted offensive lineman, undrafted free agent, with like their most amount of dollars that they could? It's good to see O-line was finally addressed, but maybe this dark horse running back, this Travis Thies, from originally from Pratt, Kansas, can make an impression a la Tyler Bidet.
Yeah, he might, because we've talked about it for a while. The running back room is underwhelming, and there's an opportunity for that whole thing to get flipped over, except for maybe Estime. I mean, I could see new faces all along the backfield. So hopefully he can make some noise in training camp. So we'll see.
He's taller than RJ, right? By 3 inches at 5'11".
I don't mind RJ being short. The guy's thick. I think he actually was 205 at the combine. Maybe he lost a little weight to showcase speed a little bit more, but he looks like he plays a little heavier, like around 210. So that's a thick player there. He's not as thick as Maurice Jones-Drew was, but definitely he's got some beef.
I don't know. Maurice Jones-Drew pretty thick right now up in the booth. Right? No, I don't know, man. Cody, I'm with you too, because I got love for South Dakota, man. I've got family and friends out there, so I'll have to give my guy Burt Remian on ESPN Sioux Falls some hell about that one, because I know he keeps track of all these South Dakota guys as well. It's cool when you see some of these cats get a shot, because that's what it's all about, right? I mean, talent can truly come from anywhere. It could be D1, D2, could be Canada, could be completely international. We're seeing more and more out of the NFL. And what'd you make of the draft in general up in Green Bay? What'd you think of some of the optics, man? I know Clay Matthews came out there and pissed off half the country. You have Roger Goodell, who everybody's united in booing him. It was cool to see like Green Bay fans so excited and getting to have fun, but man, it looked cold that first night, right? Like, I'm like, oh, that looks brutal up there in Green Bay, Wisconsin. How do you think the Cheeseheads pulled it off?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be there, right? It just doesn't seem like a great venue to be. Although, I mean, Green Bay is probably, great, and the stadium and all that's got a lot of nostalgia and everything. But at that time of year, no, thank you. I want to stay a little bit warmer.
Yeah, and it's always, it was cool to see the Broncos and was it the Bills? 2 or 3 fan bases, maybe even more. The Make-A-Wish announcing the picks, man, that
Yep.
hits everybody in the feels, right? And you're like, all right, that's something we could all get behind. Other times you get these alumni and you get these veteran players that haven't been around for a while, and boy, do they let you know it's their time to shine. I mean, it feels a little cringeworthy sometimes, right? Like you had a pro wrestler, I guess, come out for was it Chicago or something like that, and he's making fun of Green Bay. Like some of the stuff feels like inside jokes that we should all know about, and then it just kind of ends flat. That is the anyone and everyone who pretty much stands up to the microphone at the NFL draft. You're used to who's comfortable with public speaking by now. When you watch these drafts, you're like, oh,
Yep.
okay, you're probably good in front of a mic. Oh, you're good in front of some people, and you should probably stay away. I was smiling big, man, to see Travis getting drafted was my favorite bit of the night, if I'm being completely honest with you, man. The guy has got just such an organic smile, man. Like he just seems so happy, and he's got such a zest for life. I do admire him for that, but to know he's not going to wither away in Cleveland, I get it. Jacksonville's not necessarily a great franchise either, but all things considered, what was your favorite moment of round one or in general of the NFL draft?
My favorite moment, I really, I'll be honest with you. Look, I was watching it off and on because, I'm trying to get my kitchen done. So I was in there working. So I don't really have too many favorite or anything like that. But I will say the thing that I really liked about Barron is he seems like a good person, and he like wanted to get on the speakerphone and thank everybody in the Broncos room, which has never happened before. I just thought that was it's thoughtful, so, and it seemed genuine from him. So I really like that aspect of what happened when they drafted him.
I agree with that as well. And I think that's worth saying. And I think some people can brush that off, but you don't see that very often in this case ever. And is he Gen Z? Is that what they would call this young rookie? Is he a Gen Zer, or are they a different generation? I mean,
I don't know.
That was
I guess I'm not sure.
Well, the reason I ask is because that's a very un-Gen Z. I'm a millennial. It's a very un-millennial-like thing, to have manners, to show respect, to show admiration, to show consideration. That's cool, and I'm glad you said that because it definitely goes worth noting and worth saying. Now he's got to come out and play, and I think if he's every bit as smart as they say he is, and we believe him to be, this young man knows in Barron as a rookie, man, I got to come in here and I know what the expectation is. It's in front of me. It's defensive player of the year. I mean, that gives me some goosebumps right there. Talk about no rest for the wicked. There's not going to be a learning curve. You better be coming in. You better be ready to play with Pat Surtain, because if not, Broncos country is going to let you know. And speaking of Broncos country, our good friend Shiloh Heesh. What's up, Shiloh? Over on YouTube, man. I'm originally from South Dakota, Estac. I grew up in the northeast corner, man. That's awesome. You got some good salt of the earth folk out there in North and South Dakota. I will say this, Shiloh, Tom, Broncos country, everybody. I haven't had the privilege of experiencing what y'all call winter out there at South and North Dakota. I hope I never have to, because you guys are hardcore animals out there in the Dakotas, man, and Minnesota too, for that matter. Those guys absolutely know how to get down.
Yeah, that jet stream comes right down and brings those polar colds right down into that area. No thanks. When I lived in Maine for a while, we had 25 below for a couple of weeks. That was cold, but that was pretty rare. I mean, it definitely got cold. I can't imagine, going a month where it's like below zero constantly in some of that area there, man. That's no way. I'm not going to do that.
No, we are not going to do that. But what we will do is we will continue to react to the Denver Broncos 2025 draft class, the undrafted free agents as well. Let's talk about Dre Greenlaw here in a little bit. We will talk about Shedeur Sanders in the slide, but let's get through these Broncos picks. We talked about first round pick, Jahdae Barron. Second round pick, RJ Harvey out of University of Central Florida. Third round pick, Pat Bryant out of Illinois. And then you've got another third round pick in defensive end, Savion Jones out of LSU. I'm very intrigued about this pick, Tom. And the reason being, his defensive line coach was hired here, just a year ago out of LSU. I know who was banging on the table for this young man. He seemed like a little bit of a, I don't know, dare I say a rotational guy at LSU? I mean, it wasn't a first-round pass rusher, second-round pass rusher, but possibly a developmental guy, someone you want in the chamber. What do you think of the LSU Tiger that's coming to Denver?
I think it's my favorite pick out of everybody. I really liked it for a couple reasons. One, usually edge rushers in that late third round tend to pan out, which is good if you look at the analytics. Not saying that he is going to, but overall they have a fairly high percentage, comparatively speaking, to the other positions. So I liked that, but I like his versatility. I think he's going to be someone who can play on the edge and slip down into the defensive end position in that 3-4 and rush from the inside. I think he's got, potential to be a pretty decent interior pass rusher. And I think if he does show out and they really like him, that gives them flexibility with Jonathan Franklin Myers, who we really liked. If they decide, we want to get younger, we don't want to pay him. We've got somebody waiting in the wings. That may be what they're thinking. So I like it for a couple reasons, actually. And I think it's my favorite pick of the draft.
Wow, man. I'm a sucker for the linebackers and the running backs. I know you're a sucker for the pass rushers. I know you like some wideouts too, but man, that's what you need, right? Pass rushers, quarterbacks, they win you championships in this league. Defense in general, man. And how about, all the SEC? Scott, you guys are so damn lucky to watch great football out of the SEC year in and year out. Man, it felt like Georgia, Bama, Texas. I know you've got the Michigan guys in there and some Ohio State guys in there, but man, the SEC continues to dominate in the NFL. You look at rookie impact players, something you're always talking about. Can we maximize value from these guys earlier instead of later? Like microwave the development, so to speak. That's got to be the plan here in Denver, Colorado, because we saw it last year with the NFL draft. We saw it with the rookies in Bo Nix and Devon Bailey. You saw some defensive subs eventually get in too, right? With Jonah Ellis having a little bit of an impact in his rookie year. It's another secondary guy. I'm spacing on it right now. It wasn't Chris Abrams-Drain, was it?
Abrams-Drain.
Yeah, Abrams-Drain. So this rookie class, get ready to come in. Cornerback, you're probably starting, right? A first-round corner, you're probably starting. And I asked, what did that mean for a Riley Moss? And Riley had his ups and downs last year. I still think he's part of the Broncos' plans. But availability is a big thing with Riley Moss, too, and he hasn't been as available as I know they would like him to be down there for Vance Joseph's defense. So you get another defensive stud in here, man, that's important. And you got his coach already, right, from LSU, just 1 year removed. So I like it. I don't know what to make of the next pick in round 4. Outside linebacker, Quay Robinson from Alabama. I guess Sean and George are good with not drafting offensive linemen, but let's double up when it comes to defensive end, and then outside linebacker. The guy played at Bama, so I'm sure he knows a little ball. What does this mean for the linebacking corps with Drew Sanders supposedly converting, right? With replacing a Cody Barton who went to Tennessee on a King's ransom. What's the state of the linebacker room with this new rookie from the Crimson Tide?
Well, I think he's more of an edge rusher. I think he did a lot of played on the edge a lot more. I think he's one of those that I think they took a shot at because he's got pretty good measurables, long arms. He's got what could turn into something big down the road, and I think that's why they took a shot at him. But I don't know. He may have enough versatility to kind of play that edge, maybe switch to inside. But I think he was pretty much an edge rusher. There at Alabama from what I know, but I didn't do a ton of research on, what positions he's played in the past and things like that. But yeah, I like him. He seems like he's one of those boomer bust type picks for me.
Yeah. That's exactly it, man. We're going to be wondering, 1 to 2 years down the road, what impact, if any, could be felt at that outside linebacker position, because again, the standard's there. Right. And you're looking for an immediate set of improvement, or at least improve your circumstance a little bit. This one was odd to me. I didn't know a lot about this young man either, if I'm being completely honest. I'm a lot more disconnected these days to the draft than I have been in years past. But, the punter, you go in the 6th round, Jeremy Crawshaw out of Florida. I'm sure he's the best ever. I really don't care. You just had to have him. I mean, come on, Sean, George, whoever the hell did this. I mean, was this a bet? It's almost starting to feel like that was a sick joke. Like, all right, if my guy Quay Robinson's there in the 4th, then you got to get your punter. Like, come on, man. You couldn't get a punter in the 7th. You couldn't get a punter undrafted. We can't draft Garrett Bowles left tackle replacement, Tom. It's not like Mike McGlinchey is doing world beater things on the right side, but hell, let's continue to kick the can down the road with the Broncos offensive line, right? Let's get a punter.
Well, I mean, I don't mind them drafting the punter in the 6th. I mean, the 6th and 7th round guys, there's a sea of them that never make it. So if he makes the team and is their punter, that's huge. I mean, a 6th round pick right there. That is this.
That's not huge.
Yeah, it is. He makes the team. That's a big deal.
The bar's pretty low, Tom.
Are you just mad because they selected a punter?
I am mad. Yeah, I am mad. Right? They didn't have any long snappers they could have got. I mean, no, it's interesting. It's just the philosophies are so different, and I think that's what we learned night 1, especially right when Sean came out and trolled all of us. And he's like, yeah. And when I say all of us, I'm not talking about you and me, of course, because I don't think we did a mock draft this year because we don't really do mock drafts. We made fun of all those. So that way we could sit in our glass house and lob those stones.
That's right.
No, man, none of us had an idea. I didn't have an idea. I came on these airwaves and swore to Broncos country. No way. Sean's going defense in round 1. What does he do? Drafts another corner. He kind of doubles down. I have no clue. Hear me, Broncos country. I have no clue what Sean Payton and George Payton want to do in the NFL draft because it changes every single year in dramatic fashion. There are some tells, and I used to have it, and I haven't updated my board for this year. I mean, go look it up. Every year there's a corner or a safety for George. Every single year. Offensive line, we don't want to develop that. Inside linebackers, we don't really want to develop that. I just don't understand the need or the ignorance for, we're good with Luke Wattenberg. And if he goes down, we got Alex Forsyth. If Garrett Bowles goes down, Matt Purd, everybody. That really bothers me. But let me tell you something that I liked a lot. I liked our 7th round pick and Caleb Lohner out of Utah. I think talk about taking a total flyer. You're taking a total flyer on this kid, college basketball star, not a lot of football experience at all. And what do I mean by football experience? He started playing football in college, Tom. Yeah. In 2024, this guy started playing football. So why am I so excited? Well, he's 6'7", 250, and I'm hoping he is your next red zone target for Bo Nix, right? This guy, go pull up his stats. It's not very impressive, right? I think less receptions or equal amount of receptions to touchdowns because there aren't that many of them. I don't know that this is the Joker that Sean Payton is looking for, but they clearly like these prospects coming out of Utah, even Utah State. What do you think this tall, inexperienced, yet curious prospect does to the Broncos tight end room?
Well, it's another one of those take a flyer on somebody and hope it works out. And people are talking about Antonio Gates, and they're like, well, he was a
Hall of Famer.
He's a Hall of Famer who played basketball and became a great tight end. And then, they forget about Wesley Duke, who the Broncos brought in, who was a basketball player and ended up not panning out, mostly because he got hurt. But I like it just because it's, a 7th round pick. That's where you take your chances. Either you're 7th round picks, you're selecting somebody who's going to be a special teams guy, or you're taking someone like this, a tight end who you never know could pan out. But if he doesn't, he's a 7th round pick. You knew the other tight ends in that spot. Maybe they were a better player, on paper and everything, but they probably didn't have the potential to be way better than what they were. So I don't mind them taking the flyer on this guy because he's got some he's got the size, he's got the length, and those basketball players are good at boxing out. So maybe he'll use that to catch some touchdowns for us next year.
He looks like a prototypical, if there is such a thing as a Y tight end anymore. I know that doesn't exist because they've all been, I don't know, meshed between this hybrid of a wide receiver and a tight end nowadays. It's so funny, you know. Or in the late 90s, I think it really started to take off where they took a bunch of the slower wide receivers and tried to convert them into tight ends. And now it's kind of flipped a little bit where if you get an elite tight end who does know route running ability and everything, well, maybe they're a wide receiver. Kind of a thing. You use them that way. It's interesting. I love challenging you guys. I love getting after Tom. He loves getting after me, Scott. We all razz each other here on this show, and even at MHH, man, I love poking fun of everybody. Everybody loves poking fun of me with good reason. So I love it when Broncos Country challenges us back, Tom, because I am here for challenges, and it's a lot of fun. String Guy, good friend of the show. Luke and Thomas, you have to go on the record right now. Who will hit and who will miss in this draft class? Man, that's so tough when you're looking at prospects.
Yeah,
I'm not going to cop out and say I'm not going to do that, String Guy, because this is fun. These are all hypotheticals. Let's do it. I'm assuming this cornerback is going to hit out of Texas, Jahdae Barron. If Travis Hunter was declared as strictly a wide receiver, would this man have been the number one cornerback? Probably, right? Yeah. For all intents and purposes, hell, maybe he even was. I'm with it. If George sees similarities and Sean sees similarities in elite cornerback playmaking, a la Pat Surtain, because you should have an idea, a clue, and not even a doubt of what that should look like when you have the reigning AFC Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going to say this guy hits. I've got concerns with the running back, if I'm going to be honest with you, Tom, a lot like you do. The stats don't always lie, but they tell a good picture when you look at some of the analytics of second-round running backs. I don't know why it is that way, right? Sometimes third, fourth may have a few more hits than the second, but we just said goodbye to a second-round running back in Javonte Williams, and that never quite worked out. I've got concerns with the size of the running back room. I don't see any big bruisers. And I know Audric Estime, his little nickname and coming out of Notre Dame was Baby Bus. Well, I'm here to tell you he is not anywhere near the running back that Jerome Bettis was. So I don't want to hear any more Baby Bus. Baby Bus, the wheels weren't on in Buffalo, okay? You were inactive. You didn't have a jersey. Forgive me if I'm having a little bit of trust issues with this Broncos running back room because I don't know that they have the size and or the physicality to get it done in this AFC West.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and not go with a first rounder or a second rounder when I make my picks. I think Savion Jones is going to hit. I just think his versatility is going to keep him around in the league. He's going to be able to pass rush from the interior, which is always sought after. I think a little bit of seasoning, and he's gonna make people appreciate the loss of Franklin Myers down the road. So I think he's gonna hit. My biggest concern is really the wide receiver there that they took in the late third. I just can't. I know that the quarterback, maybe that was the problem, but when you disappear against better competition. That scares me because in the end, like I said, in the NFL, everybody's good competition. And if you can't compete against better competition, I don't know how you're going to compete against, the elite of the elite in the NFL. Plus, I feel like you've got two guys that are like him already, so he might get lost in the shuffle. He just may not get enough playing time because you got Vele, you've got Sutton, maybe he just doesn't get enough snaps, so they kind of forget about him. So that's the one that I think may miss.
Fair. Phil McLaughlin is calling his shot, saying Lohner could wind up having the most touchdowns this year. Remember, that's the Broncos' new 7th-round Utah tight end. Jeremy Crawshaw could wind up making our special teams the best in the NFL. As a rookie punter, man, you guys love these guys, and I hope you're right. I hope this punter is the best punter that the Mile High City's ever seen. But I'm sure there are going to be some mistakes, right? Especially with the punter. Please don't drop it. Let's start there. And don't, I know Marquette King wasn't a rookie when he came here, but don't start fights and don't make music videos either as a punter, especially with the Denver Broncos. No, that's interesting. Obviously, there was a need. We have talked about the need on special teams to continue to improve there. But it's tough, man. It's tough to see how this is going to go. Mike Thompson, good friend of the show. Thanks for being active. To recap, Luke is worried that Barron will be good, and he's mad that the number one rated O line didn't get draft picks. Sorta. I'm worried that Barron will be very good, and then all your money's with two cornerbacks. How are you planning, Mike, to pay one quarterback, Bo Nix? How are you planning to pay his favorite wide receiver, his favorite tight end, and keep the number one O-line together? Because last I checked, the Walton Penner ownership group has backed up the Brinks truck for this current Broncos offensive line. So much so that they will not go entertain a center in free agency. You know why? Because they can't afford it. They can't have all their money locked up in 5 of the offensive line positions. They can only have it 4 out of the 5. So I'm not mad that they picked Barron, and I appreciate the razz, Mike. I really do. You're a good friend of the show. Appreciate you weighing in. It's just looking down the road. Let's assume at best case scenario, this man's Pat Surtain. Okay, then what? Does that beat the Chiefs? Does that dethrone Kansas City and Andy Reid? Maybe it could. Defense wins championships, right? I take nothing away from that. However, it could also set you back. Are you trying to? Nobody's even talking about this because it's crazy. So hear me when I say this, Tom. Are the Broncos planning on replacing Patrick Surtain II
No.
with Jahdae Barron? Because
No.
Jahdae Barron is the second coming of Champ Bailey. Is that the plan?
No.
I'm not trying to dump all over this young guy coming out of Texas, but I'll be damned if we can't question the pick and what it means for the 2025 season.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like the Barron pick, and it's 5 years down the road before you really got to worry about that, but not with the O-line. It's not 5 years down the road before you have to start worrying about the O-line. Number one, Luke Wattenberg is a unrestricted free agent after this year.
Good.
Garrett Bowles signed an extension, but he's getting older. You've got to prepare for the future for Garrett Bowles. So, and then McGlinchey, Ben Powers, they signed deals that are going to expire again pretty soon. The only one that you really have certainty on for longer than just a couple of years is Miners. So I think addressing the O-line in the draft would have been prudent, just because they need to prepare for the future, because a lot of times the O-linemen need a little bit of time to develop. Now, I know they have a development guy in Frank Crum on that. He was on the roster last year and it didn't get any playing time. So, maybe they really like him and they think that he's developed more than enough to kind of steer them away from that. But that still leaves center position. You're going to have to fill that role because, Wattenberg outplayed Forsyth in that competition, and Wattenberg was not a great player. I mean, he was good. He in certain things, good, but not good in others. But it's just one of those things you got to prepare for the future. That's why I was surprised they didn't try and take an O-line in the draft.
Tom, you're such a gentleman and you're so nice. Luke Wattenberg wasn't good. Luke Wattenberg wasn't good. He wasn't.
He was good
Alex Forsyth was even worse. That's why he looked good, man. Like, it was a lack of options. It wasn't a decision. And I hear you guys, right? Like, Broncos go out and they get 3 or 4 different offensive linemen and undrafted free agents. Those are going to be some warm bodies for your guy Zach Allen, your guy Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper. They're going to be some warm bodies for those guys to get after here this summer. Maybe one of them makes it. What's the future hold for your guy Alex Palczewski, right? What's the future hold for my guy Frank Crum? I don't know. We hope that they're developing over there, but there's some concerns out there. And again, I haven't heard you once, Tom, this entire show. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you've heard me. I'm not rooting against any of these guys, man. I am here for all of it. I want them to be the best ever. I want it to be another, man, I was wrong on that guy, because it happens. And it's I don't want to call it a lottery, but man, it's such a risk when you draft anybody. Cody Dubs, very active in the chat tonight. Thank you, man, over on YouTube. I don't think Bryant got enough hype. He had a horrible quarterback, still had good numbers in college. Plus, he showed Quinyon Mitchell what he was all about. That's what's up, Cody, right? You're looking for these guys that maybe feel like they've been slighted a little bit. You're looking at guys that, what kind of attitude are they coming in with? Do they think they should have been drafted higher? Do they feel like they were slighted by one team? we hear these things trickle out over the years. I really liked Luther, right? Coming out of Missouri. I know Chad did too. And I had tweeted at him. I'm like, man, that one hurt. Even Luther, he's out there giving the Bears social media team, I think, like, man, I'm going to make all these teams regret it, and all that. You should have some of that. You should have a competitive fire. Surely these young prospects didn't make it to the league by just having a ho-hum attitude. I think that the guys Sean and George brought in, they probably all are about football. They are all about being committed. And I will say this, for every pick that I question, they passed the test. That test being Sean and George Payton's pre-draft evaluation process. Something, Tom, I'm sure is not easy to do, especially with Sean. He demands anything and everything under the sun out of his guys, his gals, anyone and everyone in that building. It had to be a little intimidating. It had to be hard to be in the good graces or win the good graces of Sean Payton in this draft process.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cody, I hope you're right. I hope Bryant hope I'm wrong on him. I hope he comes out, balls out, and is a great player for the Broncos. I hope all of them are. I mean, because that's what the Broncos need. They need to hit on some of these mid to late round picks along with their first rounders and second rounders. So I hope you're right. I'm just a little concerned with that, but I love his hands. He doesn't drop the ball. We saw that in the Buffalo Bills game where, some drop balls in the playoffs cost them field position and first downs. So you get a reliable receiver that can catch.
Dropped balls cost the Ravens a playoff spot. Mark Andrews, right? I mean, like, you're exactly right, Tom. Everybody thinks, a drop ball, it happens. But when does it happen? How often does it happen, right? Jerry Jeudy.
So from my perspective, when people ask me which ones that I don't like and what do I have concerns about, that's a concern with Bryant. I mean, maybe it was the quarterback play. Why was it always against the better teams? And they, maybe it was the quarterback just couldn't do anything, and that's it, which is fine. And I hope that's what it was. I hope he plays really well because, like I said, all offseason, the Broncos need a dynamic playmaking wide receiver, and if that ends up being Bryant, I'm stoked.
It's going to be Evan Ingram. That's who your number one receiver is going to be, man. I mean, seriously, I think he's the Joker now. We know who it is. Finally, we thought we had an idea. We were waiting to see how this draft panned out, if there was still a possibility the Broncos went tight end in the first round. No. They wait until the very end to sure that up. Something that bothered me and I'm nervous about and I've got questions about, this story broke on Sunday as if we didn't have enough drama with the NFL draft, as if they didn't get our reactions enough. Denver Broncos new inside linebacker Dre Greenlaw suffered a quadriceps injury during a workout. He's expected to miss, quote, a little bit of time, according to the Denver Gazette. It was initially reported by NBC Sports that Greenlaw would be sidelined for a substantial portion of time during the 2025 season, but that report, accordingly to the Denver guy, way off base per Denver Gazette's Chris Thomason. Man, Tom, injuries were already a little bit of a concern when we talk about Dre Greenlaw. This man was my favorite offseason pickup. Yeah. I'm hurting right now because my guy Dre's hurting right now. A lot to make of it, not a lot to make of it. What do you think of the conflicting stories? National guy says it's the worst thing ever. Local guy says not so fast.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope it's not too bad. It seems like the people in the know are saying it's not too bad, but again, people were. When I had concerns about the pickups, about their injury history, like, oh, well, they've got Bo Lowry, that's going to fix everything. Well, remember, the reason why there's less injuries on the Broncos, a couple reasons. Bo Lowry's one. I was the first one to say that's a huge pickup, probably the single most important pickup. But they also got rid of injury-prone players. You saw them keep getting every year. They're getting rid of those injury-prone players for somebody who's not. And now you're bringing in players who have injury history. Chances are they may get injured. So that I hope that it was a one-off thing. Everything it works out okay, because I'm excited for the Dre Greenlaw pickup, and I hope he gets to training camp healthy and is able to play full speed from there on out.
That's the plan, according to 9 News insider Mike Kliss. Extra, read all about it over at milehighhuddle.com. We've got an article up right now. Quote, the Broncos knew about it going into the draft. They did not select an inside linebacker. He should be fine for training camp and for the season. Remember, the Broncos did begin offseason drills last Monday. There's no surgery scheduled or anything like that. So it sounds like things are going okay. Poked around just a little bit. It sounds like rehab, but I've got questions, right? Because of conflicting reports, and in the day of this is fake news, that's not fake news, check your source, all that, it pays to just ask some questions, but I'm hoping things are all on the up and up. Yeah, let's get it. Mike Thompson, 199 over on YouTube, because he knows we are here for all the nonsense every Wednesday night on MHI. Who you got, 100 men or one gorilla? Tom, have you seen these simulations, man? Because I've seen a whole bunch of them, and I gotta say, if it's the right like scenario, I click on it and I'm curious. I watched the 1 minute video. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm taking the gorilla because you can, I mean, usually more is better when it comes to battles and war, but hand-to-hand combat, there's so many people in the way. I think the gorilla, you're not going to get 100 people to attack the gorilla at once, and the gorilla is not going to tire. They're going to be able to walk through 100 men pretty easy, because if it was 100 men against one man, or 2 men against one man, I'll take the numbers. But in this situation, you can't get enough people fighting at once to really take on a gorilla, and their stamina is ridiculous.
Here's why I am going with the 100 men, and it is because of what you just said about the gorilla and the gorilla stamina. The gorilla is bigger. The gorilla is stronger. It is more active, right? Well, all those muscles take a lot of oxygen to breathe, and homeboy's going to get tired real quick. Eventually, I think you could go with the 100 men. That one, I don't understand why it got so much popularity, because maybe I'm just a nerd. I like the ones where it's like 100 Darth Vaders versus 1,000 Gandalfs, you know what I mean? Like
the ridiculous ones.
Yeah, like it's children's scenario and like these fights. Remember having these little fights as a kid? I know I do, right? And I'm still a nerd, right? Venom is like one of my favorite anti-heroes in the Marvel universe. So I love to get after when people are like, who's the best anti-hero? Is it Punisher or Ghost Rider? And I'm like, I'm here for all of that. Let's get in with some Eddie Brock. So it is funny, man, when you see those videos. And then some of them, it's cool when you can see like history come into play a little bit, right? And you've got Spartans, Persians, Romans. I mean, like, it's really neat when you can see some of these scenarios. I wish I had the time and the ability to create them, because it's fun to watch, man. So I really appreciate you asking that, Mike. That was awesome.
Did you ever watch, I think it was Spike TV. If you remember Spike TV, it was like they would pit one warrior against the other.
Deadliest warrior.
Yes, I love that. I loved watching that. It was so cool. They kind of ran out of warriors after a while, so it got boring, but at the very beginning, it was awesome. So I love that.
I hadn't thought about that show in a while, and I'm a big 2A guy, so I'm always trying to find like gel, ballistics gel and things like that, to find one of the torsos that those guys used. You remember? Because they would like model the torso off of, anatomy from a human being. So if you had a Navy SEAL versus a Russian Spetsnaz, or you had a Spartan versus a Persian, and then they're doing all the attacks, then they go and they look at it. Man, that was pretty cool. Spike had some good shows back in the day. They had 1,000 Ways to Die. That one was good too. And I don't know, maybe you could take those scenarios, right? And what if we did one Jerry Judy versus, 10 Jaquan McMillions, like, what does that look like? I don't know. We gotta get some NFL fighters in there, because those guys enter the ring too, right? They retire, and then Le'Veon Bell's a boxer, Nate Robinson from the NBA is a basketball, Frank Gore, right? Like, so all that stuff, man. Last bit of news that we got to get to here on the way out. It's been a very busy week in Broncos country, but some sad news today. As many know, and we have a story up on milehighhuddle.com right now. Former Broncos great John Elway, his longtime business partner and agent Jeff Spurbeck, was involved in a very serious accident just days ago, and it does look like that Jeff passed away right before we came on the show. There was a statement from John Elway that I'd like to express to Broncos country. Quote, "I am absolutely devastated and heartbroken by the passing of my close friend, business partner, and agent, Jeff Spurbeck. There are no words to truly express the profound sadness that I feel with the sudden loss of someone who has meant so much to me. My heart and deepest sympathies go out to Jeff's wife, Corey, his children, Carly, Sam, and Jackson, and everyone who knew and loved him. Jeff will be deeply missed for the loyalty, wisdom, friendship, and love that he brought into my life and the lives of so many others." Tom, I know you certainly, Scott, all of us here at MHI and MHH, pass our condolences along to Broncos country as well as the Spurbeck family as Broncos country mourns the loss of one of their own this evening.
Yeah, sad news. That's all I can really say about it. It's a shame when someone that, still fairly young, and that's always, it always makes you think about your own mortality, so it's an unfortunate accident, and our hearts go out to their family.
It does, man. This life is short, and that's why we appreciate everybody for spending just an hour of your life with us every Wednesday night, or an hour every single night. That's one of the beauties here at MHH, right? No subscription. We don't do any of that. You want to read our articles? They're up. They're free. All about it. MileHighHuddle.com. We have a podcast every single night of the week. We get tough still out here in this world. So if you can't donate supers, Facebook stars, no worries at all. You're donating your time, which truly means the most to Tom, Scott, and I, and everybody here at MHH. I know it's important to Chad, Zach, and all the boys as well. Tip of the cap to the guys for draft coverage this last week and for all of off season. I know DVA's in the house right now, so I'll give Dylan Von Arks and Ron White a huge shout out. I know they were on there. Nick and Carl, Eric and Lance, Chad and Zach, Scott, for all your work and travels down at the Senior Bowl. It was another good draft season. Onward and upward here in Broncos country, man. A fun show, Tom. We try to save some of our reactions for Wednesday night. Sometimes it's harder for me than you because I'm so reactive and I get so upset or happy and I start texting and calling and I just can't help myself. But we try to rock with y'all every Wednesday night, man. Another fun show. Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun, and I've been dying to talk about the draft, so we finally got to talk about it. One thing about that I do want to say before we actually two things. One, I want to give a shout out to Jim Lovell for grabbing the Tom Nalen for the Hall of Fame shirt. So thank you very much for that.
Boom.
But I also want to say we heard all this talk about how they love their wide receiver room. And they went out and drafted one wide receiver, but then they went out and got 3 undrafted wide receivers. So I'm really wondering, how much does the coaching staff really love the wide receiver room? So we'll see. See what happens.
We will see. The Broncos also lost a long time. I'm trying to pull it up real quick. A long-time scout today as well to the Las Vegas Raiders, who just continue to plunder the Broncos front office a little bit. And I guess it's a compliment when you ultimately look at it. Las Vegas, they're going to be a problem. The Chargers, they're going to be a problem. The Kansas City Chiefs, you already know how that's going to be. But Director of College Scouting Brian Stark is leaving his post to become the Las Vegas Raiders assistant general manager. We're going to leave that here for now. Tom and I will be back next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain, rocking with you guys, hopefully reacting to some jersey numbers and asking the question, which Broncos rookie draft class pick this year you're going to put all those dollars into their jersey this offseason? I want to know. Think about that for a week. And if you like to get at Tom, that's at Thomas Hall NFL over on X. Yours truly at Luke Patterson LP. Scott's at Scout Kennedy. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com. Get this pod's following up a little bit. That's at MHI_pod. We would really, really appreciate it. Don't forget to head on over to MHHmerch.com and get that merch going. Get yourself an MHI lid. We appreciate everybody. Broncos country into 2025. This is the way.
This is the way.